Hi y'all, Mike Peace Woodturning. Welcome to my shop. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to turn something like these milk jugs into a turning blank like this. And we're starting right now. High density polyethylene, or HDPE, is a very versatile plastic, and it's can be recycled into a number of different products. It's a category 2 plastic, as shown in the symbol on the plastic, like this. So we're going to use category 2 plastic, which is HDPE, and it's used in a number of different packaging products in the food industry, and examples are milk jugs, juice bottles, bleach bottles, detergent and other household cleaner bottles, shampoo bottles, butter and yogurt cups. We're going to start by taking our containers, our milk jugs, and we're going to cut it into tiny little pieces. You can use a scissors, you can use a box cutter. I'll leave it to you to figure out the best way to cut it up. But the main thing is cutting it to as small a little pieces as you can conveniently do so. Cut out the label and throw this away, because this is, you don't want to take anything like this and try to have it mixed up in the middle of your blank. First thing we're going to need in putting this together is we got to have some kind of mold. Now, I've seen a number of videos where people make square molds, and that works great for some projects. It doesn't work real well for what I'm going to be doing, because I want to turn a round blank, and I don't want to waste time cutting corners and waste all that plastic that I got blisters on my hands cutting up in tiny little pieces. So what I've decided to do is use a piece of metal pipe. You know, here's an example of a piece of pipe. This is a 2-inch fence pipe, 2-inch inside diameter. This is a little large for the project I'm making today. Woodturning buddy Joe Schlavine gave me this piece of 1 3/4-inch pipe, and this is what I'm going to be using as the mold. Now, in a lot of the videos that I've seen, they'll spread these little bits and pieces out on a piece of cooking parchment paper and heat it up and get it kind of soft and tacky, and then they'll press it into a mold made, some kind of rectangular mold, maybe made out of melamine or plywood or something. But it makes more sense for us to use this pipe. So the first thing we got to do, we're going to figure out how to plug it. I just turned a piece of oak, any hardwood. I would use a really hard wood because it's going to be subject to some heat. We're going to plug the bottom of this thing with it. Then we're going to put these little chips in here, and Joe made me this nice metal slug that I can use to compress in. So I'm just going to put this whole thing in the toaster oven after I put the chips in it. So let's get started. So first thing we need to do is calculate how much HDPE we're going to need. I found a website calculator that calculates the weight based on the volume for a number of different items, and one of them was HDPE, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes below in the description area. So to weigh sufficient amount, I'm going to use a set of postal scales. You probably all remember from high school the area of a circle, and you might remember that little saying we had, pi r round, no, pi r square. So we take in this case, for the particular mold that I'm going to be using, 1 3/4 inches, we take half of that and we square it as shown in the formula here, multiply it by pi, 3.1459, and that gives us the volume for 1 3/4 inch diameter, or what's that, 75 millimeter? No, 175 millimeter. Now, we multiply that for every running inch we're going to make this. So, for example, 2 inches, based on the formula and the calculator, that online calculator for HDPE, a 2-inch long blank, we multiply that times the weight of 37.8 grams, and we'll get 75.6 grams, or 2.66 ounces. Now, I weighed this. This is actually believe it or not, 3 ounces. Now, HDPE will begin melting at 105 degrees Celsius or 257 degrees Fahrenheit. When it gets to that level, it starts getting tacky, but it's not going to turn into a liquid like water. It's going to get, it won't completely melt. HDPE usually melts around 356 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius and can be formed into solid blocks without causing fumes. So, I showed you the mold that I'm using this out of this piece of pipe, and I'm going to tap this plug that I turned in the bottom. My friend Joe was nice enough to turn this slug of steel that I'm going to use to compress it, and I put a bolt through it to make it easier to tap it in and compress it. And then we're going to fill this up with scraps of HDPE. I probably have a funnel that could accommodate this somewhere, but we're just going to do it the slow way. Meanwhile, we go ahead and turn this on so it'll heat up. And I've got this little toaster oven steel. I will probably have to fill this up several times and compress it. This is live theater. This is the first time I've tried this. Scraps of plastic stuck in around the edges. Alright, we're going to just start with that. Press it down in there a little bit. Maybe I'll tap this down a little bit. And now we're going to just put it in the oven. And we're off to the races. So we've got this oven set at about 180 degrees Celsius or 356 degrees Fahrenheit on bake. So for reference, this particular milk jug, gallon milk jug, weighs 3.1 ounces, and we're not going to need that amount. So that should be sufficient for 2 inches using the mold that I'm using. Okay, that's been cooking maybe 15 minutes. These toaster oven thermostats are notoriously inaccurate, so fortunately I have one of these little oven thermometers. I'm going to pull this out and tap it down a little bit, maybe pull the plug to see what it looks like. So let's give that a try. Pull that out. Let's reach in here with these pliers. And I'm just going to turn this up here and tap it down. Tapping down pretty good. Now, I guess I probably ought to check it out. If I can hold this without burning myself. If it gets too hot, I'll pull it. Oh yeah, this slides right out. Oh no, nowhere even close. Nowhere even close. So I'm not going to tap it down. I'm going to put it back in there loosely. And I've got a feeling this is going to take a little while. Okay, I took it out of the oven, pounded on the bolt to get that slug compressing it a little bit. And it takes about an hour for it to cool to maintain its shape, so we'll check back in an hour. Some pieces of plastic are just harder than others to cut and therefore melt, so I would avoid the big thick parts around the shoulder, any of the tops, that sort of thing. Okay, it's been a bit more than an hour. There we go. All right. And it looks like I got a nice block. It's not as big as I wanted. I can always add more. Now, how do I break this loose? Using the bolt with a big nut
made it more difficult to release the plastic. So I replaced it with this carriage bolt. That ought to be a little easier.
Pretty small slugs, so let's make some more. This weighs, I think, less than 3/4 of an ounce, so 1 gallon milk jug would make 4 of these. So this time I'm going to I added more chips, and I'm not going to compress it. I'm just going to put the slug in there to kind of keep it from falling out. And we're going to heat it up. This will probably take at least an hour. Okay, so added some more. Put the other plug back in on top of it. Compressed it, and let's see what we got here. Okay, this is not going to be easy. Should have knocked it loose when it was still warm. I'm liable to have to put it back in here and warm it up. Okay, I've heated this up. Let's see if we can figure out how to smack this thing without bending the pipe. I've got this plug that will fit over here. Okay, it's coming out. Let's see what it looks like. I'll tell you what, it's a pain. There we go. We got it. Alright, I'm twisting this plug off. And now I've got a nice blank. Okay, so your question is, what do you do with these blanks when you finish with them? Well, you can do several things. Here's an example. You might make a slip-on 60-degree cone. I turned this one out of wood. You might make a part for a reversing rod for hollow forms that's threaded. You might make a soft touch for soft support with your live center. I've got links to all 3 of these projects you can click on here. If you got something out of this video, or if you just found it entertaining, I'd appreciate it if you click on the like button below in order to make it easier for other people to find this video. I enjoyed reading your comments. Please post a comment below. Y'all stay safe. Come on back here.